So what to expect when you are beginning this journey? First of all, for most people, if you're completely new to even the concept of the afterlife, you're going to want to understand what that's about, right? So there's books we recommend. We talk about it all the time. Ours, first of all, of course, we're going to recommend, like Alan just wants to keep. By the way, he created this cover. That's his artwork. He created this with the help of our dear friend Maria, who's our soul daughter, who helped him. But there was a designer who actually put everything together and made our cover for us. But Alan's so proud of his artwork, as am I, and it's magic. So that book will help you understand, especially if you have a partner that you're trying to connect to. There's another book called The Last Frontier by, I believe it's Julia Asante. It's an excellent book that covers the main things you need to understand about the afterlife. Please, please, please don't go reading everything out there. Don't go scouring the internet, watching all the YouTube videos, because what will happen, I've seen it time and time again, you're going to get thoroughly confused because people are saying all kinds of things, especially mediums. So be discerning, start out slow. I would recommend, if you're brand new to the whole idea, start with our book and The Last Frontier, okay, because that will help you understand the basics, okay. And if you work with us, whether it's just here, like on the lives every week, or in our academy, you're going to start connecting with your loved one. You just are, especially in the academy, because Alan works with your loved ones on the other side. And I've had so many people tell me I don't even have to explain it anymore, that they have got the confirmation from so many people, even mediums, who mention things like, who's this Alan that's around your partner? I've had a well-known medium, tell somebody in our academy that I see this Alan around you and your partner. So don't believe it. That's fine. Just stay with us here in these free lives, and you'll see later. But anyway, that's the first thing you're going to have to do is understand about the afterlife, and that this is a real thing. Absolutely real. And then the next thing is, if you're not already having them, is looking at the signs that you're getting, because chances are some of you are getting signs. And if you're not, it doesn't mean you won't later, okay? It depends, because it's your level of grief that will either, can block things. It creates, spirit show me, it's like a wall that's really hard for them to get through. Now, some spirits can break through the wall because they're strong enough to do that, but most of them are not that strong enough to do that. So they need help. That's why in the academy, Alan helps your loved ones develop the ability. They learn. And if you think that sounds crazy, I have actually heard mediums say the same thing, that there are spirits on the other side who help spirits over there learn how to project. So I didn't believe it until Alan directed me to a book where a medium actually said that very statement. And then I've heard it from other mediums as well. So they need to learn how to come through. Some of them are just gifted at it right away and can make all kinds of electronic things happen, can move things in your home, can do all kinds of things, okay? But most of them, well, not saying, I'd say he's showing me about half of them need more help. It really, really depends. So don't be discouraged if you're not getting signs. But let's say you already are. Let's say you're getting signs, and it's amazing and it's great, but you at some point are going to feel, this is inevitable. You feel like, well, wait, I want more. Like, this is wonderful, but I want more. Like, this is a start. And they want more too, right? Believe me, they want more too. So the next step is trusting what you're sensing in other ways, like what you're feeling energy wise, like the tingles. That's really common for spirit. They can give us goosebumps, tingles, chills, whatever you want to call it. Okay, you can feel the energies. A lot of you are strongly clairsentient, which means clear sensing or feeling. So that's the most common psychic clear means psychic aware abilities, right? Like clairvoyance, that's clear seeing, clear sight. But clairsentience or clear feeling is what most people are strong at. And so you could be feeling the energy or heat or cold, just changes in temperature, all that kind of thing. That can be them too, right? They're communicating that way. They love to communicate through songs. So many of us in the academy, especially, have playlists, and some of you too in this group have playlists of songs that your loved one has sent you, or that you, when you play the music, you feel this energy come through. When I play our playlist that Alan's given me, I always feel this rush of goosebumps. Sometimes I almost going to feel like I'm going to fall over. It's almost puts me into a swoon at times. But that is probably the most common way that they connect, is through that experience of those tingles. And music will trigger that for most of us, most of you. So if you haven't explored that yet, please do that. That's usually the next step. Like, I'm getting physical, like, evidence. I'm getting some sort of contact, not just the feathers, which are wonderful, not just maybe the coins, like, right, pennies from heaven, or the birds that come, or dragonflies, or any other forms of signs. It comes with, like, physical. He's saying that's really easy for them to do. Some of you have felt, and still maybe do feel, the presence in bed if it's a partner. That is very commonly reported, that when you go to sleep at night, you can feel them, in part because you're now relaxing, end of the day, you're not preoccupied, you're getting ready for sleep, and they always draw in closer when it's a partner. And sometimes a parent too, because they're comforting their child or their loved one, even if it's an adult loved one. But more commonly, it's with a partner. So I would say sleep on their side of the bed. I'd sleep on Alan's side of the bed, and when I roll over to that side, I feel him kind of envelop me, like a kind of a hug. And I sleep well, usually if I'm sleeping on that side of the bed. So experiment with that, right? Now, let's say you have the tingles, you have the chills, you have the presence in bed, or even just throughout your day, you feel their presence. And you go, this is wonderful, but of course, I want more. We always want more. This is normal. And so the next step that I would recommend is really tapping into feeling their love. Okay, because it's the feeling of their love, which is a very real thing, more real than anything. Love is the only reality, after all, is opening up and feeling that. It's hard if you're grieving, so give yourself time. So don't worry if that doesn't come right away. But you want to feel their love. And if you need to cry, go ahead and cry. Don't worry that your tears are going to block your feeling of them. You need to kind of let the emotion flow out of you to make room for feeling their love. So don't worry about it. Alan, in the beginning, told me to just cry as much as I needed to, because then I would make space for his love, and I would always feel his love kind of come in after I just had a good cry and let it all out. And it's not going to be released all in one go. So whenever I did that, I would feel his love come in, like right after. It's kind of like the tide goes out, like you release the grief and the tide goes out, and then it comes in with the next tide is this love. This is what I could feel, this blast of love. I called it love blasts from him. So you go through that, and I know it's a bit of a roller coaster. I wish I could wave my magic wand and make it easier for you, but this is the journey, right? So you let yourself feel your feelings. That's what we call processing emotion. Processing just means feeling whatever you're feeling, letting it move through you. You cannot cry forever, I promise you. You will be at the end of that period of grief for that time, and then there could be more coming up, because it brings up all types of grief or feelings you have related to loss, right? That's going to come up. So be patient with yourself. I know it's difficult, but hang in there, and affirm that you can feel your loved one's love, because that's the only reality. It is the only reality. So know that that's the way forward. Whatever you do, don't repress your pain. That's only going to make it grow larger. That's only going to prolong your suffering. So let it out. We are designed as beings to feel the full depth and breadth of our emotions and to let them move through us without holding back. And the only reason we get in trouble is when we try to stop it. And even as children, right, you maybe were crying about something and your parent told you stop crying, and so you stopped, which meant you basically just repressed that sadness or pain, whatever it was you're feeling, your anger, and it doesn't go anywhere. It just remains within you and has now become toxic until you experience it and let it out, right? So this journey begins to, let's say, reveal layers of unexpressed emotions that you've been holding on to. And that's why grief seems so heavy. It's not just a grief related to your thought, your I would say your mistaken belief that they're gone and dead. It's all the pain and suffering and loss that you've been holding on to. So you got to hang on for the ride. Once you do that, you've released not, you can't release all of it in one go, like I said, and this could take time. And don't worry, because even if you're still processing it, you can still make contact. Because I have people in our academy that are still working through their grief and they're making contact. It just pops up now and then and they deal with it. Okay. But you can get further ahead of it. But what you want after that is to begin to start connecting and getting communication, which can happen in a number of ways. That's why I suggest you look at our Channeling Your Soulmate Masterclass, because you can start writing their messages. Now, this is not automatic writing, because automatic writing involves you kind of going into a slight trance and just letting the pen, let's say this is a pen, here's a pen, just write on its own. Like you're not even trying to write. It just starts writing on its own. That's automatic writing. What the channeled writing we were talking about is when you're blending with your loved one, whoever they are, and becoming merging with them enough, because they can do this, that you can start writing what they're saying to you. This is not just you journaling your thoughts and experiences, but actually having a two-way conversation, or one way where they're talking to you. Like you may start it off by saying, well, what do you want to tell me today? Or how are you today? Or what's it like where you are? Whatever question you want. And you just write whatever comes into your mind. You don't care if it seems like you're making it up, because even if you are in the beginning, what spirit can do, and I've seen it time and time again for 35 years now, is they begin to insert words into your head, messages into your mind. Okay. And it starts to flow. Like you don't know where the message is going, because you're just writing, like taking dictation. So here is where I want to tell you, you are to use your imagination to write their message. Your imagination is how you create, is the bridge, right? You imagine what they're telling you. It's going to feel like you're making it up because you're going into your right brain, which is your imagination. But the world, I'm going to say the world, doesn't know, pretty much everybody in this world doesn't understand that the imagination is how things manifest. Nothing is manifested unless you can imagine it, think it, see it in your mind, like feel it, right? It doesn't just pop out of nowhere. This world was created through imagination. Everything around you was manifested through imagination. So if you want contact, you're going to imagine that you know what your loved one wants to tell you. And play with that, because in time, they're going to give you evidence that it's them. But if you approach this like, well, I'm not going to do this unless I know it's real, you're never going to get anywhere, and you might as well quit, because you're basically closing the door. You're saying, I'm not going to trust this unless I see evidence. The evidence comes because you trust and believe in it, not the other way around. That's not how reality is manifested. So I want you to just Go all in with this. Who cares? You're not going to prove this. You're not going to show this to anybody, what you're writing. You can later if you want to. But you are just going to have fun with this. And you're going to notice, not all of you, but some of you are going to notice as you do this, you start to feel them more. That your other psychic abilities start to kick in because it's all connected to that, folks. Imagination is your power, and it's been something that you've been lied about because the people that know this, that have been using this, don't want the rest of us to know. Because they've been using it to manifest and create the realities that they choose. Right? So you now know the truth. So go and explore it, right? Go explore it. Start to write whatever you feel is coming into your mind, make it up. As one of my friends, the late Reverend Hal Beagle, who was the head of Science of Mind Church here in Honolulu when I first opened up. And he married Alan and I, by the way. And he would say, he would teach in his psychic development classes, he tells students, fake it till you make it. And he meant it. And he was an amazing psychic. And he said, just fake it till you make it. When you fake it, it becomes real. Because this isn't hard. This is not rocket science. You were born psychic. You just forgot. Classes you take are just permission slips. You don't need a class. I never really took a class. I learned from the spirit world because there weren't any teachers when I opened up in 1987 in Honolulu. Well, there were. I later met Hal, for example. I took his class, but he said he knew I didn't need his class. And I took another teacher's class, and the teacher had me sit with him in front of the class to teach people how to read auras. And I go, why am I helping teach this class when I just signed up for this class and walked in the door? And he said, because he knew that I already knew everything I needed to know. But so do you really. You just need to give yourself permission. So we are giving you permission. It's up to you whether you accept it or not. So once you start writing, what can then happen is you could start even vocalizing, like, what are they saying? Okay, what is your loved one saying? So you could speak for him or her, to speak their words. That's powerful too, because when you write their words, speak their words, what are you doing? You're anchoring their consciousness, their energy into this reality. If you want contact, this is the way, because the more present they are, the easier it is for them to engage with you, right? The more real they become in the 3D world. So if you can come into this group, share your story about your loved one, talk about them as if they're already with you, because they are, like you can make the story up. We're not going to ever criticize anybody for making up a story of what they want to happen as if it's already happened. In fact, we work a lot on this in the academy, using affirmations and telling the story of the connection you've made as if it's already happened. That's the way to manifest. So tell your story, because telling stories is the way, because they're words that you're using are manifesting in this world, because thoughts create. Somebody's asking, how do you learn to see auras? Well, that's a whole other thing. And just to know that although seeing auras is fun, and we're going to do some of that in the academy when my friend Swati teaches clairvoyance. I don't know if she'll be teaching it this year because she's not been feeling well, but she's going to be teaching clairvoyance, and she's really great at teaching aura reading. So we're going to do that in the academy. We have a lot of things planned for the academy. But that you don't need to read auras to communicate with your loved one. That's why I'm not necessarily focusing on that. I'm not even necessarily right now focusing on clairvoyance, because I actually want that to be kind of last on your list, because I know people who see clairvoyantly spirit, but they have a hard time communicating. And the communication to me is more important than seeing auras or seeing clairvoyantly, because you don't have a relationship with anyone if you cannot communicate with them. Wouldn't you agree? How frustrated would you be if you could see your loved one, let's say clairvoyantly, to see them, They're right here, but you have no idea what they're telling you, what they're asking you. You have no idea if they're what they want to say in response to what you just asked. Wouldn't that be hard? Wouldn't that be really painful? I think it would be. So you can begin communicating with them, starting with writing their messages to you and then vocalizing what they're trying to say to you. That would be maybe the next step, or you could start with that. And then you might find, and I'm saying you will find, that their words start coming to you because they're already doing that. I can absolutely promise you. Spirit actually has a very easy time communicating by putting words and messages into our minds. They do that with everybody. That's how the spirit world influences the 3D world. They actually do go, angels, guides, whoever you want to say, go up to people and kind of whisper in their ear, so to speak, symbolically, metaphorically, to give them an idea, a solution to their problem, some inspired thought that could turn into an amazing invention. How do you think the world has evolved? I say this all the time. The human mind isn't that smart. Humans are not that intelligent. The only true intelligence is higher mind intelligence, which means it comes from the other side. That's what inspiration is. It comes from spirit, right? So you want to reach for those inspired thoughts. You want to pay attention to words and messages that come to you out of the blue because it can be from your loved ones or your guides and angels. But if you're working on communication with a partner or other loved one through the veil, it's likely that it's them until you've kind of more anchored that connection. That's what Alan's telling me. If that's your priority, like that's the most important thing. Let's give an example. I want to connect with my husband. Let's say that's my most important priority. That's pretty much going to be who's talking to me. Occasionally, in my case now, because I'm much ahead of the curve here, I will hear my guides come in and say, "We want to talk to you." They make it really clear that it's them. But pretty much, if thoughts come in, I know, and now I can feel that that's Alan. Right. So you can get to that place where you're talking in your mind, like telepathically, right? And you can feel the difference. And it's hard to explain, but you'll learn to discern that it's not your thoughts, but it's their thoughts, especially when it just comes at you out of the blue, because that is not how the conscious physical mind works at all. Your conscious mind works more deliberately, like you're analyzing a problem, something's bothering you, and so you go round and round. And usually when you're really in your physical mind, it usually takes you on for some of you, not all of you, a somewhat negative path, because the physical mind is programmed from fear. So it's often looking at the worst case scenario, and it's not inspired, it's not psychic at all, your physical conscious mind. It just knows what it knows based on what you already experienced in 3D world. Your higher mind, because you have two minds, you have your physical mind, your human self mind, a higher mind, higher self mind. You are literally two people in this physical, non-physical body, because you have two bodies too, a physical body and non-physical body. So your mind is taking turns, like who's running the show, who's really living your life. If you're more in touch with your higher mind, which is what we attempt to do and teach you in the academy, which is what pretty much I live my life in the state of my higher mind, I must say. I would say 89% of the time, because I'm so used to that. I don't look at things too much from my physical mind's perspective, which again is programmed from fear. And so I don't have as much trouble navigating emotions, because I just don't, my mind just doesn't go to the worst case scenario. It never does anymore at all. I have to ponder something maybe consciously because it is something in the conscious physical world, but I don't really go negative on it. And if I'm not confused, I go into my higher mind and say, okay, show me the perspective of this from this higher place. And that's what we try to teach in our academy, because you have to have this mind shift really, if you want to connect with your loved ones through the veil, because they're in this higher place within themselves. And if you want to have the most sublime relationship, you're going to have to go through a transformation at some point. He's saying to me, there's no ifs or ands or buts about it. It's just that's part of the journey is transformation. And that's why we created the academy. This is not a take a class and you're done kind of thing. It's something most people will need ongoing support. Now, let's say you've done all that. You've had the signs. It's them. You are communicating because you're getting messages that you're writing down. And maybe you're even becoming more telepathic and you go, oh, I can feel that they're talking to me. I can sense that. Oh, I know what they're saying. And you still want more, right? You want more. Like I said, you always want more. So you're going to start feeling them more blended with you. This is more if you're a partner. You can experience what we call the merging with them. Now, you cannot merge 100%, even if that's your twin flame or soulmate. Cannot merge 100% because you're in the 3D world, you're in a body. And if you did happen to be able to merge 100%, guess what? Then there would be neither them or you. There would just be you together as one, and you wouldn't experience your loved one because it'd just be you two together as one being. Okay. Do you want that? I don't think so. You want to be able to experience your partner like, here you are, like I feel you as different or separate from me. I hear you, communicate with you as if you're separate from me, and I know it's you, right? So the most you can hope for is a merging of, I'm just going to say maybe 90%, some people a little higher. The only reason I say a little higher because I'm experiencing with Alan this fuller blending, and it's like it is almost like we're one. And I'm going to talk about this because some of you will get there. I think there could be at least one or two people in our academy that are already kind of experiencing this, where you feel like there's not much separation. The good part about this is you really feel this sense of oneness almost all the time. Okay, but then you have a harder time discerning, is that you or is that me? Is that you or is that me? And Al and I are working on this now for me to more finely to dial in my sense of him compared to me. Okay. And we are going to really work with this more in our academy with people because they're a little further ahead than people in the main group. So as people more experience that, we're going to be helping people to, again, refine that, dial that in. But your connection becomes just deeper and you have less grief. Some people might still have it, but the grief is only going to come up if your thoughts turn go negative. If you start worrying and that's what means the conscious mind, you're letting that run your life again. Okay? Because if you were focused solely in your higher mind and in the present moment, your grief would be gone immediately. But you're not there yet. Most of you cannot be there yet because you've got to process all this emotion. You can't repress that emotion. But let's pretend that you processed, let's say, most of it. Like most, I mean, 90% of it, like the bulk of it. You would find that you kind of forget about the past. You forget that they even died because you feel them with you. And that's the other thing I want to point out. You're going to create new memories of them in this reality that are non-physical, obviously. So you're having a spiritual relationship with them because it's physical, but it's not physical. Because I want to say you're going to feel the goosebumps, you're going to feel the tingling, you can even feel them arousing you. We'll talk about that more in the class on Saturday. You'll feel that and realize, oh, that is you. Oh my God, that's you, because I wasn't feeling anything, and all of a sudden I feel turned on. Well, that's evidence that that's them, right? but they don't have a body. You're creating a new experience of them. You're creating a new reality in which your relationship is spiritually focused, less materially focused, and yet you're having physical sensations. So this is a whole new paradigm, okay? Whole new reality that we are together creating. And make no mistake, this is real and this is powerful. It's life altering for you and actually for everyone else who's sharing the journey with you. And together, we're creating this big change that other people who come after us can connect with and have an easier time in reaching through the veil and reuniting with whoever they choose to reunite with. Right. But it takes time. And what did I say? You have to process your emotions, right? Begin trusting what you're experiencing, knowing that the doubts that come up are coming from which mind? It's not the higher mind, because the higher mind knows that this reality is an illusion, and it knows that what's invisible is the real world. It's your physical mind that's created from fear to keep you in survival mode that's going to say that's not true. And you have to learn to ignore it. There's no other way around it, because it's going to pop up and say, that can't be. That's crazy, right? And you have to learn to ignore it like you ignore a difficult child throwing a tantrum, complaining. You just ignore it, tune it out. And you can get there. I promise you, you can get there, but it's going to be a challenge for most of you. But you can get there. In the academy, we're constantly reminding people, we're constantly supporting each other. You guys in the academy know that. There's a messenger chat where people drop in and they're venting a little bit, or they're upset about something, afraid about something. Somebody's in there to remind them that it's all going to work out, that this is all doable. You get a lot of support, and you need support on this journey. You really do, or you're not going to make it. So if you're not going to study with us, and that's fine. I really mean that. It's fine. But you got to have a plan. Find that support, or understand that you're likely not going to be able to manage this, because I've seen people fail and it's heartbreaking. So just know that this is doable and that you can connect with them, get your own proof from them. And not only that, transform yourself, because chances are you've been struggling in your life probably even before your loved one left, because the world we're in right now, we're all evolving. We're all being pushed. You're here on a spiritual journey, not a physical journey. That's just part of it, not just physical, it's spiritual. So your loved one on the other side wants to help you step into being all that you are. Step into your power, into your abundance, into your joy, into your life mission, if you will. They can be your guide. Many of our partners, especially, are acting as our guides as well. Okay, it's not just our angels that help us, it's actually our loved ones in spirit that help many times as well. So they can support us, right? But you've got to figure out, what is your plan? How are you going to help you? Who's going to support you? They want to support you, but you need other people in a body. That's what Alan is telling me. He's the reason I even have this group, because he told me to create it. And when I asked him why, and he said, because you're going to need support. You can't do this by yourself. So again, if I can't do it by myself, and I have friends that are mediums, I have people that believed in Alan and me from the beginning of his passing, who told me that they talked to him. I had that support. My family too, my son and his girlfriend, and other friends. I had loads of support, and I still needed support of this group. So I know that this is a journey that's difficult for people to do solo. I just know that. All right, so I'll just answer one question here. Someone just asked, other than how you're teaching us how to connect, can we also connect with them through meditation? Absolutely. Meditation. We actually teach that in the academy. We actually do guided exercises, take people into meditation. This is a big part of the academy. It's actually the group work, because the synergy of the group energy, meaning loved ones in spirit coming together, we in the physical coming together in the academy and I do a guided meditation with both sides of the veil coming together. It helps people connect. So I guide them to connect with their loved ones almost every class session. And they'll tell you that each attunement or guided exercise I do is becoming more powerful because everyone in the class is becoming more powerful. So yes, you can communicate, connect in meditation. That is one of the most common ways that people experience the spirit world. But by yourself, it's not as powerful. I know that. I know that. Even for people that I know that are quite adept, it's much more powerful in our group, our academy, because the other side is doing the same thing. So imagine if all of our loved ones are meeting in a group there, and they are, and then we are here meeting a group, and we're all coming together because Alan, we were uniting everyone together. What is going to happen? The synergistic possibilities are mind-blowing, and we're only beginning to tap into that. We're only beginning to, and Alan, because Alan says, I'm getting stronger. He's helping me get stronger. It's been tough, but I'm getting stronger. So the collective energy, remember, we are not, okay, our perception is opening up to perceive more of the unseen world. We can't go there because you have to die to go into the fifth dimension. But we're able to perceive and experience more through the veil, right? But our ability to do that really depends on our vibration. We have to raise our vibration. We have to let go of our limited beliefs. So Alan's saying to me, meditation alone isn't going to do it because the person has to find a way to shift their beliefs. That's why people have tried meditation to connect and they're stumbling. It's not that they don't know how to meditate. They haven't done the work. They haven't raised their vibration. Conventional meditation just isn't going to do it. What we're doing is he's telling me quite frankly is rare because he's helping on through the veil on the other side and they're meeting on the other side. I just know that we can do so much more for you in the academy because of the collective group experience, the dynamics of that, of the spirit world merging with the physical world. And Alan's saying the best is yet to come for everybody in the academy. We're here to help as many people as we can to reach through the veil, heal their grief, and make contact with their loved ones. So we're doing everything in our power to help you. I know there have been a lot of questions of meditation. We also know from experience, though, that meditating can be really challenging if you're deep in grief. And that's where coming to the academy and just being in those guided sessions can help you connect. And I've told people in the academy this, like go through some of our guided exercises. And when you feel really relaxed and you're in the zone, so to speak, pull out your headphones or close the computer or turn off whatever and just stay in that zone and meditate. Alan's saying you guys in the academy don't really need anything but what we're giving you, but you're not taking advantage of it because we take you into deep states and we connect you with your loved one almost every time. He's telling me, he's saying, showing me they all come in. So you don't need anything but that. In reality, your belief that you need a formal meditation practice is just going to manifest as the belief that you do. So then you're going to think that's what you need, but you don't really. Just use your imagination. Okay? Imagination is everything. That's your power. That's your superpower, your imagination. So go all in and don't be afraid to just imagine whatever you desire. That has to start there. If you can't imagine it, how's it going to come to you? That's the signal you're broadcasting to the universe. All right. Love you.